My friends, what is the hardest trick in all of GoldenEye speedrunning? In February 2021, the YouTube channel Lowest Percent uploaded a video asking what is the hardest trick in all of speedrunning. In it, they mention GoldenEye and give a decent, albeit fairly cliche answer of the depot roller door warp. This answer is perfectly fine for the type of video they were going for, a kind of mass appeal video without getting super duper deep into the technicalities, and for that purpose it served well. However, over 80 speedrunners have completed a score of Depot Agent 24 seconds or lower, a time that requires the roller door warp, so surely it can't be that hard. On this channel, we have more GoldenEye specific knowledge and can really dive into a detailed answer for real. So all that being said, my friends, what is truly the hardest trick in all of GoldenEye speedrunning? GoldenEye speedrunning, GoldenEye speedrunning. Now, something that you absolutely need to become a great speedrunner or achieve greatness anywhere is the ability to set goals and keep to healthy habits, which is something I think nearly all of us at some point have struggled with. So that's why I'm thankful for the Fabulous Daily Routine Planner app. Fabulous makes it easy to develop and stick to healthy habits thanks to science-backed daily routines. You'll feel healthier, more fulfilled, and more productive. It breaks down scientifically proven healthy habits into very small tasks, like making sure to drink water, stretching, or having a healthy breakfast that you can easily achieve every single day before starting your hours-long speedrun session. Fabulous is 100% personalized, and there are two ways to use the app. Self-guided, where you can pick among over 100 recommended habits like eating more fruits or going for a short walk, or create your own, or guided, where you can receive coaching sessions to reach your objectives or use multiple journeys to achieve specific goals. For example, I took on the Declutter Challenge and have already begun spending just 20 minutes a day cleaning up the various drawers of random stuff around the house. Unlike other self-development apps, Fabulous allows you to change and build habits at your own pace, so it's gentler, more rewarding, and has a more supportive approach. And with Fabulous Premium, you'll unlock unlimited habits, journeys, exercises, daily coaching sessions, and more. So you can try yourself with the link in the description, download the app, and improve some healthy habits. The first 100 people who click the link will get 25% off their yearly premium subscription to Fabulous. That's a pretty fabulous deal, if I'd say so myself, so good luck out there, and onward we go. So just to touch on the depot warp and why it's not that hard of a trick, mostly comes down to it not requiring complete mastery of the controls, nor precise and fine movements. Pretty much anyone who can hold a Nintendo 64 controller could probably hit a depot roller door warp if they were willing to spend 10 or 20 or 30 hours basically running into a wall. All it depends on is pressing A to switch weapons at the right moment and strafing with the right angle towards and into the roller door. Suffice to say, this requires a much lower skill cap than something like beautifully fast camera shots on Bunker 2, or super far away camera shots on Surface 2, or a perfect 9-shot Xenia on Jungle Double Agent. But none of these are really tricks as much as they are just playing the game really well. So once again, what's the hardest trick in GoldenEye 007 speedrunning? One of the first tricks that might come to mind as the hardest trick is one so difficult that it has never been pulled off yet on console. The OOK strategy, or double OK strategy, or out of order keys strategy on Surface 1's Secret and Double Agent. I made a video specifically about this strategy about 2.5 years ago, and still in all that time, it's never been performed on console without cheats. The trick involves luring 2 guards to open this otherwise locked cabin door, and could result in a time save of around 5 or even 10 seconds, which would basically ensure an untied world record. So the incentive to pull off the trick is certainly there. But that being said, the trick is just so intimidating that no one has even seriously mounted an effort to pull it off, really. Basically, you need to lure these two guards towards you, standing in front of this locked cabin, but you need to hope that both guards have different reactions with different speeds, and you need to slightly shift your location in front of this door in between the time when one guard's reaction ends and when the other's reaction ends. This is so the guards are lured to a slightly different spot each, and thus will run around each other in such a way that one might inadvertently open the cabin door. All this while, you need to scurry off and shoot through this cabin over here as its walls are unloaded from afar, in hopes to lure the large key guard towards your location, so that you can eliminate him without making too much of a detour should the first cabin lure have been successful. Everything about this strategy is just so finicky and insane that no one has really done a serious grind of it in the years since it was made known. Big Boss Man does have a video of him pulling it off with the invisibility cheat on, which helps a lot since you don't risk the guards seeing you again should they have been properly lured. But yeah, that's about the closest anyone has come to pulling it off. This strategy may forever exist as a white whale, something that's out there for the taking, but evading the grasp of any speedrunner, most of whom are, in a way, too afraid to try it seriously. But there is a slight chance that with serious efforts, the strategy may reveal itself to have been easier than thought. I don't really think so, but who knows? Time will tell. But once again, it's never been pulled off on console. So what about some tricks that have been? Well, one stage comes to mind where one speedrunner holds a 4-second untied using one technique that no one else has quite been able to replicate in a world record speedrun. Indeed, this would be none other than the stage Runway Double Agent. You see, if you're familiar with GoldenEye Speedrunning, you'll be well aware of a technique called the R-lean. This entails pressing R to get your quick lean or peak in one direction, and combining throwing an object during this lean frame to enable throwing it very far. And a number of players have achieved Runway Double Agent 32 seconds with this method. You destroy one drone naturally by just holding and tossing the nade, but then you destroy the battery with an R-lean, and then 2 more drones with 2 more R-leans. And that's impressive and all. However, the world record is 28 seconds, 4 seconds faster than this, and a 4-second untied world record by Graviton. In this record, he makes use of double R-leans for the 2 furthest drones, and that's where the time save comes in. You see, using the R-aimer to lean one direction is cool and all, but if you lean from one direction to the other, it's an even further movement. And combining this with throwing an object can result in an even further throw. Now obviously, the further you are from an object, the more difficult it is to hit, especially chucking a nade seemingly hundreds of yards away, so hitting 2 of these double R-leans in a row is akin to hitting 2 consecutive holes-in-ones in Mario Golf, or something like that. I mean, it's really, really hard. Simply performing a double R-lean isn't exactly all that hard, moving from right to left and letting go of Z on the right frame, but hitting 2 of these in succession from miles away to pinpoint accuracy in order to destroy the drones, and then clutching out the rest of the run, yeah, that is truly and utterly insane. And so hitting the double R-lean needed for Runway Double Agent to 28 seconds is a good candidate for the hardest trick in GoldenEye. One other player, Wally, has come very close to tying the record, but just simply no dice yet with his attempts. He's completed a few of the double R-leans, but then missed the other drone or battery.
What just happened? Another day to play!
As a result, Graviton's 28 seconds remains a 4-second untied world record and has been unmatched since it was set in July 2018. Now, certainly not to take away from Runway 00 Agent 28, as it is truly amazing, but this is almost more of a succession of tricks rather than just one individual trick. And if we really want to drill down on one hardest trick, what about some other candidates that are very specifically one trick and one trick alone? One thought that might come to mind could be the legendary Aztec 00 Agent 134 by Gus Riolo, where he skips the body armor to complete the untied world record. And this is certainly epic and one of the great watershed moments in GoldenEye Speedrun history. However, the trick that enabled such a run to be finally possible, juking the drone, a trick called Truer Drone, is actually very simple and easy to do. A body armorless Aztec 00 Agent run is more contingent on the whole of the run, a very well executed run throughout the entire stage, rather than simply pulling off the Truer Drone trick. So I'd say this one is a testament more to 1 minute and 34 seconds of epic gameplay rather than just one insane trick. Similarly, one might argue that shooting off the locks at the end of Surface 1 Agent fast enough for 101, or lasering the locks at the end of Train Agent fast enough for 56 are extremely hard tricks. And they are, but they're also more so just really insane executions of something necessary to complete the stage, rather than they are specific tricks. Everyone has to shoot off or laser off the locks on their personal bests. It just so happens that Callie and Henrik are faster and better at it, and as a result achieve the amazing untied world records. Another pretty tricky trick worth considering is the Cavern's Secret Agent Mine Toss, where you throw a mine through the unloaded ceiling and hope it bounces into the objective C area where it blows up the master control console. This is a very difficult trick to complete, and even just sitting there with cheats on and practicing mine throw after mine throw, you could still do 100 attempts and not get a single mine through the unloaded ceiling. And it's made even more difficult by literally like 10 or more guards who are shooting at you during the throw, boosting you around, messing up your line, creating one of the laggiest atmospheres in the entire game, and all sorts of other nonsense. But around 24 players do have personal records with the trick. This would actually make it quite a lot more difficult than the Depot roller door warp still, but I think those who do have a nice record with this strategy would agree that this one isn't quite the hardest trick in the game. On Bunker 1 00 Agent, you must escort the iconic Boris from his initial position here to the mainframes so he can complete a hacking objective. Usually you have to stay within a tight radius of Boris to avoid him running away into some random direction and corner of the stage. And staying within that tight radius is how the world record progressed down to a time of 1:07. However, sometimes straying away from Boris and causing him to run in some random direction can be good, because you see Boris can actually run towards the mainframes, saving time, and this is how 24 players have scored times under 1:07. Boris Running is very finicky though. There are some positions you can stand in relation to him, and directions you can look that make him more likely to run in the correct direction, but even so, you might be off by a couple of steps, or you might get boosted, or look at slightly the wrong angle, and he'll run God knows where. He can even run outside the bunker, causing you to fail, which is rare and hilarious. The idea is to do what you can, do what we know works sometimes, and hope Boris runs towards the mainframe room, then shoot to alert him outside the mainframe room, and he'll regain his walking speed into the mainframe room. And this is how players were able to get the record down to 1 minute 2 seconds. However, there is the even more slight chance that when Boris is running right here, he can decide instead of running past the mainframe room to run directly into it. This saves the most time and is the best possible scenario on Bunker 1 00 Agent. The first known example of this happening was this 102 duplication by Perfect Ace. It's really one of the most insane runs ever performed on the stage. He had already achieved 102 with the Boris outside the mainframe room strategy, which was the world record at the time, but he was playing for 101, the untied world record. Another wrench in Bunker 1 Double Agent is that you usually hope for a guard to pull a grenade, and while this doesn't directly save time, it does help clear out guards and makes the rest of the level much easier to manage. But on this particular run, there was no nade, and amidst all the chaos, Ace was unable to get back to Boris in time to shoot and alert him outside the mainframe room. It just so happened that Boris ran right in there, and Ace managed to catch up to him and clutch out the rest of the run for the 102 duplication. Due to the chaos of so many guards still being alive, by virtue of this being a nadeless run, Ace may have lost some time by not leaving the hacked mainframe with the data thief objective as early as possible, and he also did get a back boost at the end. So this led to the idea that 101 may be possible on a clean run with a grenade drop. A run that must feature the Boris running directly into the mainframe room trick. It would be 6 long years later and an epic grind of many dozens of hours before one player, True Faith, would achieve a world record with the Boris running directly into the mainframe room strategy. A beautiful and remarkable time of 101. 1 minute is believed to be possible with this technique, but again, these are the 2 examples of this trick being pulled off on meaningful runs in the history of the game's 25 years. Only one other player since then, JD Black, has scored a personal best with this trick, a 103 where, once again, the chaos of the level caused him to accidentally miss alerting Boris outside the mainframe room, and he saw Boris luckily run inside it. Though, like Ace's run, JD seems to have lost 1 or 2 seconds at the ending from back boosts and other miscellaneous nonsense. Given that now these are the only 3 significant runs achieved with this trick, I would say this makes a pretty good case that the Boris running into the mainframe room trick is one of, if not the hardest trick in GoldenEye speedrunning. One last trick I'll leave you with in this video is what's called the OGDDL. You see, most of the tricks covered so far are sort of contingent on being able to clutch out the rest of the run after performing a difficult trick. However, if someone ever pulls off the OGDDL, they would have a very good chance, perhaps a close to certain chance, at an untied world record. You see, OGDDL stands for One Guard Decoder Door Lure, and takes place on Facility, Secret, and Double Agent. In a recent video, I shared a strategy where you could shoot 9 to 15 times to lure a guard to open the decoder door on Facility, and this might save a second or 2 over the more traditional strategy, since you'd be able to skip a 5-second pause and brief decoder unlocking sequence. But you do have to detour in order to fire these shots, which makes it a bit of a trade-off. However, the OGDDL would save even more time than either of these 2 known strategies. Basically, what's happening here is that this guard doesn't have a clean line of sight to the door because of these jutting sides of the door. This makes it so that when you approach the door and then hide in this nearby laboratory, he can sometimes run to the door, then spin back away from it when he realizes you're not there, and this action can cause him to open the otherwise locked door. This was discovered and used in a tool-assisted speedrun by White Ted, who often gets mad at me when I explain his strategies since I always leave 1 or 2 things out, or am not precise or detailed enough in my explanation, so I'll link his original forum post about this strategy in the description, which you can check out at your leisure. In any matter, the detour into the laboratory to hide from the guard while he's tricked into running to the door seems to cost about 4 seconds, which is still about 2 to 3 seconds faster than the other techniques to get this door open. Ted himself states that even I'm undecided on whether this is practical on console, and for the time being it's no free untied. But it does seem like it could save at least a couple of seconds, which is huge on a sub 1 minute long stage. That being said, no one has ever pulled it off on console, and perhaps no one ever will, which could make the OGDDL the most difficult known trick in all of GoldenEye 007 speedrunning. I think ultimately we've found that there is no one obvious hardest trick in GoldenEye speedrunning. Rather, there are many hard and insane tricks, some which are needed to make or break a world record, some which are needed in succession to get a great score, and some which are so hard or intimidating that they have not yet been performed on console. And I think it's more interesting that way. A never-ending discussion that will never have one defined answer on what's the most amazing world record, moment, or trick in the whole of speedrunning GoldenEye. And I'm sure I could make an entirely separate video talking about an entirely separate 5 or 6 hardest tricks in GoldenEye, and they would make sense and players would agree that, yeah, these are some pretty hard tricks as well. But for now, that will do. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Stay true, my friends, and I'll see you in the next stream or video.